All right, listen up. It's guarantee time. I'm big on guarantees. And for the first time in 24 weeks, I can guarantee you, the Greenlight Gambling listener, that I will not lose money betting on an NFL game this weekend.
Mr. Guarantee.
Yeah, let's get after it. Welcome to the Greenlight Gambling Show, sponsored by DraftKings. Joining me, as always, for our penultimate show of the year, you like that word, is Stanford Steve. Super Bowl odds.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to save our official picks for next week, but let's do a little scene setter, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Look at the numbers, maybe take a crack at a prop or two. Here's what we got, okay? Chiefs -3.
Yep.
Over, under 56.5. Money line Chiefs -167, Bucks +145. What's jumping out at you?
I'm just thinking to myself, like, am I really going to go down watching Tom Brady win a 7th Super Bowl and not have him? You know?
Yeah.
Like, Mahomes, I liked the Niners last year, but I ended up betting the Chiefs just because I ended up in actually, it was, you did an unbelievable job breaking down how the Niners, or I should say the Chiefs defensive line, you like those matchups.
Yeah,
with Frank Clark and those guys, I remember last year. So a couple things is I'm leaning towards Tampa. I think the Fisher injury is really big. Mm-hmm. I absolutely love what I've seen from Shaq Barrett and JPP. I think Vita Vea is a dude. And with that, I just, the idea, like, he can occupy dudes, man. Like, he's that big of a space eater. And Todd Bowles, we know he's not going to sit back, but with 2 weeks, man, and Vita Vea back, like, Todd could get creative. He could do some things that they didn't even come close to doing the first time they played Kansas City. And Mahomes, that was a tough one too. Mahomes just jumped him to hit Tyreek when Tampa was trying to disguise a cover 2. I've seen all the draw-ups of everything. They really need Winfield back. I think he's critical on the back end just because of how well he tackles in open space. And, we talked about, I think, Sunday night, Chris, I think the biggest unsung group of the whole playoffs has been the Tampa Bay offensive line. You go back to, they've won 7 in a row, but you go back, the Washington game really still sticks out in my mind, how they were able to run the ball and dictate whatever they wanted to do. I believe Fournette went over 100 that night. And then they go to New Orleans. We know how good that front is, and that front 7 and that defense as a whole. Even though there's no fans, but they still went on the road and kept Tom upright and it stayed with it. It wasn't pretty early on, but the defense got the turnovers, and, man, they cashed them in. And then last week, say what you want, but that first third down, to Mike Evans, Green Bay fans had to be like, oh, shit.
Here we go.
Brady's here.
Yeah, big games where there's so much buildup and you're wondering how it's going to go. And I've been in situations like that on a team where I'm like, I have no idea how this game's going to play out. Like, I'm on the team and I have no idea. That first statement drive, it's like, oh shit, because this is fluky. The Bucks are not known as a first 15 team. I mean, if anything, they're the opposite. They should throw their first 15 out the window. I mean, the start they got off to, they're a different football team right now. You mentioned the offensive line. I think the Bucks are going to win this game. Little spoiler alert. I'll say it again next week. At this point where I sit, you mentioned the Fisher injury. It's huge.
Yeah.
And the Vita Vea thing plays right into your hands. Your favorite take on how to beat Brady in the pocket. Talking about Mahomes, I do think this is a big positive because with the tackles out and we talk about how far back he drifts, you are going to have to get rid of that step-up lane. And I would run games too. I would run ETs, like really flat ETs, which is end first tackle around. Because
TEs.
You could run TEs as well, although I like the ETs a little bit better.
Of course you did, because so you could go first just because you're that selfish.
You know what, though? Honestly, usually if you're running an ET, I love making an inside move. It feels like sexy and cool to win inside. But you're probably going to be the sacrificial lamb on an ET. The guy that usually comes free, to me, is the looper. The looper is the thing
that's so good with their hands, and then they just get inside. And those guys are amazing. The way they could go over the top and be slippery.
Yeah,
you're totally right.
I would run games. I would run games this week, and all the points you made are extremely valid. It seems like we're both on the Chiefs. Well, how does Vegas take the biggest hit? I mean, everybody's probably on the Chiefs. We're on the Bucs.
They have so much stuff going on. Now you got futures factored in. I'm sure these two, they got blasted with futures on both these teams. Chris, the one other thing I wanted to point out was I still don't think Mahomes is going to be 100% with the toe.
He's not.
So that's another reason why I think this helps. Tampa Bay, and then. You talked about being in games and not knowing how they're going to go. Like the over-under seems really interesting to me because when I look at Tampa Bay, you got Leftwich, who's a great mind. You got Bruce, you got Tom. And those three guys are going to have the best game plan to go about beating Kansas City. And that includes having the ball, knowing what Kansas City could do offensively. So they're going to factor all that in.
Right.
And I still think they need to throw the ball to win the game. I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball on Spags. I think he does a good job of confusing things. I do think it is hold on, let's see what Spags is doing with running guys all over the place. Where the hell is Tyrann Mathieu? Pre-snap as opposed to post-snap.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a little first half under, I'm thinking. I don't know, because on the other side.
I like the under here.
Okay.
Where I'm sitting right now.
Okay.
It was 56.5, and I think first half under for sure, right? But the way I look at it, you think about what this game's going to be. If you ask me what this game's going to be, it's 30-27 type ball game. Okay, well, that's right on the nose, but you have to take into account, like, if we think the Bucs are going to be in control this time around, the Bucs are going to play with less tempo than they did the last time around. The way the game
no doubt.
The last time these two teams played, the Chiefs jumped them. And so that dictates the tempo of the rest of the game. So I think as you look at it, even in a vacuum, you're thinking, it's going to be about 57. Well, take into account that the Bucs might be relatively in control, which is much different than the first time around.
Yeah, and obviously the game changers, turnovers. If there's, what do you think, plus 2 turnovers, this thing's going over.
Yeah.
Just because of how good these teams are on cashing in, and the guys that are calling the snaps.
Where you throw the picks too, Steve, right? Like last week, Brady threw the picks in plus territory. They got away with it. It didn't really affect the total too much. But if you get a Aaron Rodgers to Aaron Jones, Whitehead comes down and punches the ball out first possession in the second half, that's a killer for the under. So, like, if these teams can stay away from those mistakes, I feel pretty good about it. The biggest turnover risk, I think, is honestly going to be Patrick Mahomes with that rush breathing down his neck. And that's not an indictment on him, but this is a totally different situation than he was in a week ago against the Bills defense.
No doubt. No doubt about it. And it's funny. I keep, we touched on it Sunday again. I keep going back because it's just the things I think about is this isn't, Tom Brady gets all the wins, right? Quarterbacks get all the wins. This roster is pretty damn good for Tom and the guys that he has around him on the defense. But also, it's probably one of the main reasons he went there because he did assess things. He didn't go to Detroit. So it's a combination of all. I said before the New Orleans game, I thought that was the game that Bucs fans thought that Brady would have them win. And then last week was the game that Brady knew he could win and what he could do in Tampa Bay.
Let's take a look at a couple prop bets.
Yes.
Most passing yards, Mahomes minus 150, Brady plus 125.
That's a tough one.
If I'm doing that, I like
because Mahomes is at 330 and Brady's 301. So if you want to do the analytics people stuff, I mean, they could just they would just tell you the answer's right there. Just look at it. Mahomes is 330. Yeah,
but what if you have one of these sleepwalking games, man? Like, the last 2 times they had a couple weeks off, Cleveland And they came out hot offensively, actually. I mean, it didn't cash in. Didn't get lopsided as quickly as you thought, and Cleveland hung around. But, the bye 2 years ago with Houston, I don't remember how exactly. They started slow, I believe, against San Francisco as well. So, that's assuming Patrick fires on all cylinders. 20 yards a game for him is 316, 293 yards a game in playoff career, 290 yards a game in 2020 playoffs. Of course, he was out of that Cleveland game pretty quickly, so take that for what you will.
Yeah, that's the one I do love with Mahomes is there's an over longest completion. It's 39.5 yards. I love that over. Love that over because not only is he going to throw the ball plenty of times down the field, you also have the catch and run aspect with those guys that we talked about.
Todd Bowles is going to be aggressive at the time.
Yes.
All right, that'll do it. Please like, subscribe, comment. Also, check out our regular Greenlight pod and check out the Greenlight Twitter account at Chalk Media. We got something to pop yesterday, big time, bro. We were talking about Arby's. People are really into Arby's.
I want it in. Cowboy Reed, what's wrong with you?
There's a lot wrong.
Yeah, I got dragged a little bit.
I can see that. I can see that one coming.
You know what, though? It's good to be the Wizard of Oz and get dragged because nobody's.
It's all good, though. Sticking to my
guns. It's a lot like on this Zoom call. I see his name on the black screen. It's, Reed's sitting in a good spot to fire off bad takes. I mean, when I fire a bad take off, I get crushed, too.
I'm looking right at you.
Sports media, man.
Did you really say Burger King was better than In-N-Out?
Yeah, dude. The burgers? Fuck yeah, dude.
Okay. You need to travel more.
I do travel, and I go to that restaurant, which is just fine. But literally all it is if you want a healthy fast food meal.
Do I look like I want healthy fast food meals?
Do you think In-N-Out is unhealthy and savory?
No, it's the best.
No, it's not, dude.
Yes, it is.
Fuddruckers was better.
Stop. You're going to tell me Five Guys is better too?
Oh, I mean, I can only eat Five Guys once a year, but if I'm hungover or if I'm drunk,
I don't want my burger in a tinfoil wrapper.
That's quirky of you.
Okay. You're quirky.
You are. All right.
Go curly fries.
We'll see you next week.
Absolutely. Bring your pen and paper.